Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining today. We wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Madhu, Radha Shamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Singhadev, Jagannath, Baldeshwar, Gaunitai, Tulsimani, Haridas Thakur, Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, and Guru Maharaj and the assembled devotees. So we're on chapter 15 of Canto 11. Krishna is talking to Uddhav, giving him incredible guidance because Uddhav is asking lots of questions. And this is a very good example. If we want answers, we have to ask the questions. So, and we should always never be scared to ask a question. This chapter describes the 8 primary and 10 minor mystic perfections. They are developed by fixing one's mind in yoga, but they're ultimately obstructions to achieving the spiritual abode of Lord Vishnu. So interesting. Why are they obstructions? They're perfections. Let's get the answer. In response to Krishna's comments that the mystic perfection of yogas are acquired by a yogi who has conquered his senses, Uddhav inquired, by what process can mystic perfection be achieved? What is the nature of such perfection? How many mystic perfections are there? Krishna answers. He describes that there are 18 types of mystic perfections and meditations, of which 8 are primary, having their shelter in him, and 10 are secondary, appearing from the material mode of goodness. Oh, that's interesting that he's describing 8 come from him and 10 come from material mode of goodness. Interesting. So the 8 primary ones, what are they? Anima, becoming smaller than the smallest. Hanuman had acquired that. Mahima, becoming greater than the greatest. Again, Hanuman had acquired that. He became huge and lighter than the lightest. Again, Hanuman was there. He had all of these, it looks like. Lagima, prapti, one acquires whatever one desires. Prakamya siddhi, one experiences any enjoyable object in this world or the next. Ishita siddhi, one can manipulate the sub-potencies of Maya, defying laws of nature. Vashita siddhi, the ability to bring others under one control. Kama vasa yita siddhi, can obtain anything from anywhere to the highest limit. So I think Prabhupada described that the yogi, he could pick a fruit, a piece of fruit from the moon planet if he wanted to, through that mystic power. The 10 secondary mystic perfections arise from the modes of nature are 1. Power of freeing oneself from hunger and thirst and bodily disturbances. Hearing things far away. Seeing things far away. Moving the body at the speed of the mind. Wow. Assuming any form one desires. Entering the bodies of others. Dying when one desires. Bhishma. Witnessing the pastimes between the demigods and the celestial girls called Apsaras. Number 9, completely executing one's determination. And finally, giving orders whose fulfillment is unimpeded. 5 further inferior perfections are as follows. So apart from the 18, there's another 5. The ability to know past, present, future. Ability to tolerate heat, cold, and other dualities. The ability to know the mind of others. The ability to check the influence of fire, water, poison, weapons. The ability to remain unconquered by others. They don't sound inferior perfections to me. Anyway, then he explains the 8 primary mystic perfections in a little bit more detail. Anima, one who worships me in my atomic form, pervading all subtle elements, fixing his mind on that alone, obtains a mystic perfection called Anima. In his atomic form, that I presume is the Paramatma. Maybe not, but anyway, that's a pretty small form. It's an atomic form pervading all subtle elements. Mahima, one who meditates upon me as a supreme soul of the total material existence, achieves a mystic perfection called Mahima. By further absorbing the mind in the situation of each individual element, such as sky, air, fire, and so on, one progressively acquires the greatness of each material element. So these are obviously not easy to attain. Lagima, I exist within everything, and I'm therefore the essence of the atomic constitutes of material elements. By attaching his mind to me in this form, the yogi may achieve the perfection called Lagima and become lighter than the lightest. Because Krishna is within the atom, and the atom is tiny. Prapti, fixing his mind completely in me within the element of false ego generated from the mode of goodness, the yogi obtains the mystic acquisition of whatever he desires. Prakamya, one who concentrates all mental activities in me as a super soul. Okay, so this is where the super soul comes in. One can experience any enjoyable object. Isita Siddhi, the yogi who places his mind in my form of Narayan, becomes endowed with my nature and thus obtains the mystic perfection called Pasita. This enables one to control various energies, seemingly defying the laws of nature. On the lowest level, one can make fire come out from one's mouth. Vasita. One who places his consciousness on Vishnu, the Supreme Lord of the eternal energy, external energy, obtains a mystic perfection of controlling other conditioned souls, their material bodies, and their bodily designations. Kamavasa Ita, one who fixes his mind on me, my manifestation as the impersonal Brahman, obtains the greatest happiness, wherein all his desires are completely fulfilled and can obtain anything from anywhere. That's quite unusual because in the Brahman, there is no activity. Nothing happens because you are effectively merged with the effulgence of the Lord. No activity takes place. Interesting how one whose mind is fixed on that can achieve greatest happiness. Okay, the 10 secondary. One who concentrates on me as the upholder of religious principles, the personification of purity, is freed from the 6 waves of material disturbance, namely hunger, thirst, decay, death, fear, and illusion. So, upholder of religious principles. That purified living entity which fixes mind on the extraordinary sound vibrations occurring within me as the personified sky in total life is then able to perceive within the sky the speaking of all living entities. Wow. Merging one's sight with into the sun planet and then the sun planet into one's eyes. One should meditate on me as existing within the combination of the sun and vision. Thus, one acquires the power to see any distant thing. The yogi who completely observes his mind in me, who then makes use of the mind that follows the mind to absorb the material body in me, the mystic perfection by which his body immediately follows his mind wherever it goes. Wow. So the body can travel at the speed of mind if one absorbs his mind into the Lord. When the yogi absorbs the mind in the shelter of my inconceivable mystic potency by which I assume innumerable forms, he can assume any form he desires. So all of these mystic powers are completely connected with the Supreme Lord and his different potencies. You can see everything is dependent on the Lord, even the mystic perfections. When a perfect yogi desires to enter another's body, he should meditate upon himself within the other body, and then, giving up his own gross body, he should enter the other's body through the pathways of air. So there are different pathways. These are the gates that are open, 9 gates. That includes the nostril, the mouth, the ears, etc. The yogi who has achieved the mystic perfection called swachanda, mrityu, blocks the anus with the heel of the foot, lifts the soul from the heart to the head, Brahma Randra. The yogi then gives up his body and goes to a selected destination. So this is also described in this Bhagavad Gita, that the mystic yogi, he bursts through the top of the head and he can go to any destination he wants. The yogi who desires to enjoy in the pleasure gardens of the demigods should meditate on the purified mode of goodness, and then the heavenly women generated from the mode of goodness will approach him in airplanes. And then we have other mystic perfections explained. A yogi who has faith in me, knowing that my purpose is always fulfilled, will always achieve his purpose by the very means he has determined to follow. A yogi who perfectly knows the process of meditation obtains knowledge of past, present, future. So these are the additional 5, which are actually pretty powerful. He can therefore see the birth and death of himself and others. Just as the bodies of aquatics cannot be injured by water, similarly the body of a yogi whose consciousness cannot be injured by fire, sun, water, poison, and so forth. For a sage who has conquered his senses, breathing, and mind, who is self-controlled and always absorbed in meditation on me, what mystic perfection could possibly not be difficult to achieve and do anything he wants? But then Krishna puts a big caveat. He tells us all about the glories of these perfections and how to attain them. But mystic perfections of yoga are actually impediments and are a waste of time. Crikey. For one who is practicing the supreme yoga, by which one achieves all perfection in life directly from the Lord. Whatever mystic perfections can be achieved by good birth, herbs, austerities, and mantras can all be achieved by bhakti to the Lord and distract one from proper worship. So these are just distractions. They sound good. Oh, I wouldn't mind that power. All these perfections are automatically offered to a pure devotee. But guess what? He does not accept them. Unless used in the yoga of devotional service, these perfections are valueless. A devotee simply sees that the Lord is always present everywhere, both externally and internally, and depends completely upon him. This is just one of the most incredible chapters. Because Krishna, for how many? 32 verses is describing the glories of mystic perfections. And then in the last 3 verses, he just destroys everything he's all the glories that is described about those perfections. And it's very important for us because we are trying to do bhakti yoga. I say trying because it's not so easy to do bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga means pure, loving, devotional service, uninterrupted, unmotivated to the Supreme Lord. That's pure bhakti yoga. Not so easy to perform that sort of bhakti, but we can try. And better to try to do bhakti rather than try to get any of these mystic perfections. Because as Krishna himself says, it's a waste of time. Waste of time. So very, very interesting. Very interesting. I think there was a story I seem to remember how one man went away from a village. He became a yogi. He came back to the village years later and he was showing off his skills. I can walk on water. And he demonstrated that, and the people who were in that village were very impressed. But then one wise man, he got a boat for a few paisas, and he was in that boat. And he went near the yogi and he said, well, what is the value of your mystic perfection? It's just a few paisas? Because I paid a few paisas, I can do exactly what you're doing. Effectively, because he can also walk on water on the boat. So I think that illustrated the futility of trying to acquire perfections separately from performing bhakti yoga. And even if one is performing bhakti yoga and Krishna will offer, my dear devotee, what would you like? You can have all these astam siddhis and this and that. But the devotee, pure devotee, will say, nah, it's okay. It'll deviate me from my devotion to you. Please, you keep them, my Lord. And Prahlad Maharaj had that attitude. Nrsingadev asked him several times, I want to give you something. What can I give you? And he said, no, please, my dear Lord, don't try to distract me from my mission of connecting with you. Because if you give me something, it'll increase my pride and arrogance. I just want to be a humble devotee of yours. So he is the gold standard, of course, Prahlad Maharaj. Learned so much from him about bhakti. And yeah, I wanted to stop there. If there's any questions or comments, please.
Krishna Prabhuji.
And then even,
Yeah, all this mystic, what the yogi does, they have to spend years and years to develop
yes,
perfection,
yes,
and they would use it just for themselves or to earn
yeah,
money
yeah,
or to
yeah,
do
yeah.
whatever. I think
Correct.
it is useless. But
Yes,
Krishna, as you say, he serves for everybody. He gives these things for everybody. Whoever wants to take it,
take
it's
it.
not his choice. He just gives out
Yeah,
everything, good, bad,
yeah, yeah,
bhakti,
yeah.
yoga. So some people are there who would take it, but I think it's, as you say, it is useless.
Yeah, like that paisa, a few paisa, he can travel on the boat, walk on water, no problem. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Naniman. And in this age, our lives are so short, and just a little
Yes.
virus can knock us out, no problem. So, what will we achieve at all anyway? Just better to try to have whatever little time or little effort we can muster. Let's try to do it in loving devotion to the Lord, and that way at least we've got some eternal benefit.
True.
Yeah, thank you, Nariman. Appreciate
Thank
that. Very good. Anybody else? Anything? Any comments? Okay, let's make a stop there. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad Puran ki Jai, Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki